So every so often, I will get someone asking me, Stephanie, what's the difference between prospecting and lead generation? So I want to break these two down for you. And let's start by looking at the definitions that I use for lead generation and for prospecting. So if you think about what is a lead is just a name and some variety of contact information. It could be a connection through social media. It could be an email, a phone number. It could be an address. That's all a lead is just somebody and some way to get in touch with them. A prospect, on the other hand, is derived from the idea of a prospective customer. So a prospect is somebody who is a potential client for you, someone who has some level of qualification going on where they have a higher likelihood of wanting to actually purchase from you. So one thing I've noticed is that lead generation is often a little bit more passive. It's research, or it's setting up funnels, or it's putting out content to attract people to you. And you can get more qualified leads if you set up the right kinds of strategies. However, a lot of times lead generation is a matter of going out and finding people you can reach out to as prospects. It's a matter of setting up a funnel where people opt in exchange for certain information. It's a matter of pulling a list of prospective people off of Google or whatever your favorite search engine is. You could always buy lists of prospects. However, I find that's oftentimes a waste of money, and you end up with a bunch of prospects who are not actually interested in you. So you literally just, waste your money on that. You could go networking and pick up leads that way. However, I will add a side note on this one. If you're going to go networking, don't be a douche about this. Don't just grab everyone's cards and add them to your mailing list and start doing outbound marketing to them. They have no necessarily interest in you marketing to them. And I understand that sentence didn't make sense, but you get the gist. These are just people you met once off. Set a meeting, get to know them, or ask them if they would mind being added to your mailing list before you just go and add them. Otherwise, you have leads, not prospects, and you'd much rather have prospects on your mailing list. So prospecting, on the other hand, is oftentimes more sales oriented. And while lead generation is oftentimes like one to many, right? I'm doing outreach. I'm trying to connect with a bunch of people. I'm trying to get a bunch of contact information. Prospecting is oftentimes more one-on-one. This is, you have an ideal client profile. You're going through your leads and identifying which ones are the right leads to reach out to, and then reaching out to these individuals, actually giving them a call and saying, hey, it's Stephanie with XYZ company, and I wanted to find 10 or 15 minutes to chat with you about how we can save you some money, or how I can bring by this resource, or how I can be part of your team, or whatever your appointment setting script is. However, if you are just sitting there and going through your list and saying, well, this one doesn't look like, and this one doesn't, and this one doesn't, and this one doesn't, and that's not really prospecting, that's just delaying your sales tactics. So get on it. But when you are prospecting, you're taking a list of, okay, I think these 100 people or 10 people or 20 people, or this list of people who said they were interested. I think these guys match our ideal client profile. They, have X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to actively reach out to them. I'm going to send them an email. I'm going to call them. I'm going to drop by. I'm going to drop a card in the mail. I'm going to try and start a conversation. This needs to be a two-way communication with them giving me information, me giving them information, so we can figure out whether or not we can take them to the next stage, which is getting them into an actual sales appointment. So the difference between the two can make the difference in whether or not you understand where you're at in your sales process. When you're in lead generation, oftentimes you're a step further removed from actually getting the sale. Whereas when you're in prospecting mode, it's when you've already done some qualification and you're starting to try and move this person into an actual sales appointment. So when you set out your calendar for the week, I want you to break the two time periods out. What time are you going to spend in lead generation, and what time are you going to spend prospecting? Because I can tell you this, I know so many incredibly well-known sales trainers who consistently talk about the fact that closing is rarely the problem for salespeople. The problem is usually a lack of high enough level prospecting activities. So where do you fall on the scale? If you don't have enough sales, are you doing enough prospecting?